Members of the Council, ladies and gentlemen, please be upstanding for His Worshipful Mayor of Chorley, Councillor Gordon France.
Thank you to everyone for attending this meeting. My name is Councillor Gordon France and I am the Mayor. Before we start the usual proceedings, I'm sure you'll all be extremely saddened to learn of the death of Councillors John Walker and Eric Bell. John Walker was Mayor 2013 to 14 and Eric Bell was Mayor in 2003 to 2004. Could we now all be upstanding and we'll observe a minute's silence. Seated. Group leaders, you may wish to say a few words. Councillor Platt.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Strange one, where we go all these times, then like buses two come along all at once. It's hard to separate the two, John and Eric, because they were almost like a double act in Whittle for so many years. They represented the Clayton and Whittle ward before the boundary changes. Both former members of Chorley, as the Mayor has said. John, I think, as has been said many times, was a gentleman and a gentleman. I don't know of anybody who ever fell out with him, really. He was a lovely man, and I think we came to forgive him for being a Yorkshireman, because we did adopt him in the end. Eric, what do you say about Mr. Whittle? He was an amazingly fit man, as everybody knows, with a passion for hill walking, still walking in his 90th birthday, which I'm not sure many of in this room will be doing, but fingers crossed. Just both men were tremendous servants to the residents of Clayton and Whittle, and they'll both be missed equally. And I think how they'll be missed was probably reflected in the numbers in attendance at both of the funerals and the emotions which were demonstrated there. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and of course our group would echo those sentiments. Both councillors, Walker and Bell, were stalwarts of the administration before ourselves, and as a result, I still go around the borough seeing plaques that have been put up to John and Eric and, of course, Peter Goldsworthy. They were a triumvirate, the three of them together. Very different characters, as Councillor Platt says. One very suave and urbane, one happier on an allotment, growing potatoes. But it takes all sorts, politics takes all sorts, and I don't think anybody could doubt the sincerity of what they believed, the sincerity of what they did, and the service they did to Chorley Borough. Obviously very different politically than us at times. I do remember John being, when I first came on the council, an ONS chair, and in a way teaching me of how to go about doing that job. Eric, contrarily, probably sat here disagreeing with everything we said, but then and going, you're probably right, Alistair, you're probably right. So they are very different characters, but I take my hat off, and I'm sure my group does as well, to the time and effort and work they put in to Chorley Borough and the residents of their own particular patch. Certainly at the funerals, we could all see how well respected they were within the community, and hopefully we're all marked the same way, Mr. Mayor, in the future. So yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
We'll move on, thank you. Councillor Beale.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Two different characters, but they were both veterans, and they were both part of Chorley District Ex-Service Association. Eric was the chair, John was the treasurer. Two leading members of that, two lost. Since their deaths, we've lost another one. And I really don't think that it will last very much longer. I always considered Cadessa, as it's called, the old boys network. They didn't go into town and drink with the breakfast clubs. They had their own little niche club, of which them two ran it very well. They did lots of social things and went out for meals, supporting veterans, particularly the older ones across Chorley. They will be sadly missed.
Nobody else? Thank you. Members of the public are welcome to observe the proceedings on YouTube. Due to regulations surrounding voting, only those members physically present are able to vote. When you're participating, please speak towards the microphone so everyone can hear you. Please do not obstruct your mouth to ensure that anyone lip reading can do so. If anyone is having issues, please let Democratic Services know. Some housekeeping. We're not expecting a fire drill, so if the alarm sounds, please exit the way you came in. Please ensure that any mobiles are switched to silent. If the technology fails, I will adjourn the meeting to try and resolve the issue. Apologies. All right. With apologies from Pauline McGovern, Zara Khan, Russ Green, Sam Martin and Craig Southern. Thank you. Declarations of interest. Members are reminded of their responsibility to declare any pecuniary interest in respect of matters contained in this agenda. Are there any declarations of interest? Minutes, pages 3 to 8. This item is for a decision. Are there any issues to raise on the accuracy of the minutes? Councillor Bradley, please can you present the minutes?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Can I propose that the minutes of the meeting held on the 17th of September are taken as a true and correct record? Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Wilson, can you please second?
Seconded, Mr. Mayor.
This item's for a vote. All those for? Against? Abstentions? Thank you. Mayoral announcement. Chorley's Got Soul. The Mayor S and I were delighted to attend the Chorley's Got Soul fundraising event at the Town Hall at the weekend. The event, which was in aid of my chosen charities, was a huge success, and I would like to thank Margaret and Roy Lees for all their hard work in organising the event. Sponsored swim. Thank you to everyone who sponsored me to complete an 800-metre swim at Brinscall Bass to raise money for my chosen charities. After successfully completing the swim, it's now time to collect the money, so pay up. And a particular thank you to Councillor Beaver, who's my pace set of the first 16 lengths. Thank you. Please contact Paula Brindle to arrange payment by cash, card payment or bank transfer. Christmas by candlelight. Tickets are now available for my Christmas by candlelight fundraising event at Astley Hall on the Thursday, the 5th of December. Set in the beautiful Great Hall, the evening will include musical performances from Sing It Big Choir, the Great Northern Folk Assembly with sing-along cards and festive readings, followed by mulled wine and mince pies in the courthouse. Arrival is from 6:40 with the event commencing at 7. The evening will draw to a close at approximately 9 o'clock. Tickets are £15 with proceeds going to my chosen charities. Places are limited and are selling quickly. To book, please contact Paula Brendel as soon as possible. Just an extra on mayoral announcements. We've managed now to set a date for our curry evening of the 20th of January, which is a Monday, and it will be approximately 8 o'clock at the Little Tiger in Brinscoll. The tickets will be £20 per person. So, again, please contact Paula or ourselves to book that one. Thank you. Public questions. With no public questions have been received. Corporate strategy 24-25, which is on pages 9 to 30. This item is for decision. Councillor Wilson, please can you present this item?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Enabling strong communities, a resilient economy, excellent services, a greener future, and successful people. That's the vision, Mr. Mayor, that we have on our corporate strategy. It's a vision we had last year. And I think you'll agree, just like last year, Mr. Mayor, the vision is forward-looking, it's positive, and it again makes sure that this council continues to deliver on behalf of its local residents. Now, back in 2012, when Labour took control of this council, Mr. Mayor, we said we were not here to manage decline. And we are not here to manage decline. And despite various challenges that we faced during those years, huge financial cuts that have taken place, COVID and everything else that's come along and we've had to deal with, this council has remained forward-looking and always looking to make improvements for residents and to make sure that local communities, whether that's rural or urban, are put at the forefront of our actions. So if we look back over the last 12 months, Mr. Mayor, what have we achieved? What have we done? Well, we've delivered a new housing strategy, we've delivered a home energy support scheme, we've got new bus shelters continuing to be put in place throughout the borough, we've seen improvements to our bus station, we've got a further 2 green flags for our parks and open spaces, we've introduced a business energy support scheme, we've got a jobs and skills programme that continues to target those most in need of support to get into the workplace, we've expanded our social prescribing team to help the most vulnerable in the community, we're continuing to work with the police to tackle antisocial behaviour, and we also have a health and wellbeing service which again has gone further in terms of helping families and individuals who need that support. So I think over this last 12 months we've achieved a lot, particularly on the backdrop of a very, very challenging financial situation that all local authorities face, and we are not immune from here in Chorley. And on that point, Mr. Mayor, I would just like to thank our officers who not only help put together a corporate plan, but more importantly those who deliver it on our behalf, and we should thank all officers in all those departments who have done that. But in particular, Mr. Mayor, I mentioned the difficult financial situation that we faced, and I think we need to say a big thank you to Louise, who sat just at the back there, Louise Mattinson, who's Director of Finance. This is Louise's last full council meeting that she will be at. Lucky Louise. But on a serious point, Louise has been an excellent stabilising force, as it were, at the council at times of great change and great challenge. And Louise has made sure that we've stayed very much on the straight and narrow in terms of our financial management. And the important thing and the relevant thing about that is that's why we can talk about the success of our corporate strategy for last year. It's why we can hopefully talk with great optimism about the plans we've got for the forthcoming 12 months. So we wish Louise well in retirement and hope that she doesn't completely lose contact with Chorley and people in Chorley, but we do thank her for her service and everything she's done for the authority. And on that point, Mr. Mayor, we move forward then to the forthcoming 12 months and the corporate strategy in front of us tonight. And we can see, as members look at the corporate strategy, that we have the same priorities, the same 4 priority areas. The first being housing where residents can live well. A green and sustainable borough is the second. An enterprising economy as our third priority. And then lastly, but by no means least, healthy, safe and engaged communities. And within those 4 priority areas, we have 21 projects, which again, I think as members look at those projects and look at the breadth of the plans that we have, it shows that even though we've been here in charge for 12 years, we've still got ambition, we've still got energy, we've still got ideas, and we're still listening to our residents and trying to act on our behalf. And I would like to thank all members of the Labour group, not just now in the build-up to the strategy, but all year round, because they engage with their residents, they engage with local communities, and that's what informs this strategy, and that's what informs our priorities. So it is very much a collective team effort. And that's what, again, makes sure that we stay on our toes, listening to residents and delivering on their behalf. So if we just look at some of those areas, Mr Mayor, that we're going to deliver on this year, under those themes. Firstly, under the area of housing, we're looking at providing new units for families who find themselves homeless. It's a terrible situation to be in. We know that Cotswold House isn't ideal for all families, but now we're taking the bold step to actually provide new accommodation for those people who have got families, got young children, and need housing as an immediate priority. That'll be delivered on Gillibrand Street. We're looking at improving housing standards. Again, we know both in the social rented sector, whether that's private or, dare I say it, with housing associations, there are many times when standards fall below what we think is acceptable. And as a local authority, we are going to try and challenge those landlords and make sure that standards are increased. We've also got plans to work with our housing associations, housing needs, to look about improvements, the way the Select Move can work, and also about looking at the affordable housing needs. So again, an ambitious programme under that first banner of housing. Secondly, on the green agenda, we continue to make big strides in terms of promoting more work to support the environment and reduce carbon emissions. We've already had a superb tree planting programme, Mr Mayor. That continues. There's another tree giveaway coming up soon. But more important this time, there are new projects under that banner, and that's actually the new biodiversity strategy, something that Councillor Clifford has been quite rightly keen to see brought forward, and also a continued commitment to actually reduce the carbon emissions from our buildings and in everything that we, in the way we do our business. Likewise, we continue with the work with the bus shelters, and Councillor Lowe, no doubt, be happy to tell members that we're ahead of schedule in terms of the delivery of those new shelters. So again, that helps people support them who use public transports. And then we're also doing the work at the West Wing at Astley Hall as well, which is another major project, Mr Mayor. In terms of the economy and jobs, again, we're looking at building on existing schemes such as the Jobs and Skills programme and the grants to businesses to make sure that we continue to support businesses that want to grow and employ people in our borough. And then on top of that, we've got new work. We've got the big items of the town centre development, which is going to be the major £20 million that we got from the government, and then obviously supported with our own financial contribution. So a multi-million-pound scheme that will hopefully see not only support for the town centre in terms of new shops and a new offer, but residential as well, which is a new dynamic for the town centre, as well as supporting the communities that surround it. The work at Woodlands, again, another major project, Mr Mayor. So our teams in that department, under Councillor Bradley's leadership, again, are going to be exceptionally busy, but at the same time, really exciting new opportunities for the borough, where we can see hopefully new jobs coming into the area, and also new living opportunities as well. And then in the healthy and safe communities, again, we're building on work that we've done before with items such as the Cost of Living Action Plan, supporting those residents who are most in need and in need of the help and assistance that we currently provide. But we're also, again, being very, very ambitious in terms of 2 projects, Mr Mayor. The first is the Leisure Centre, reconfiguring the offer there in the Leisure Centre, again, under Councillor Murray's leadership, some fantastic work going on there with Jennifer and the team in terms of making sure that our leisure centres become sustainable in the future, which is a major, major financial challenge, but also about making sure that the leisure centres offer what people want. So that work will be undertaken. And then equally ambitious and taking the council well beyond its traditional remit is the work that we're looking to do with early years. And this is driven from a lot of the schemes that we've already done, supporting some of those vulnerable families, supporting people who need assistance, whether it's a healthy eating programme or through social prescribing. And again, what's very, very clear is that the earlier that you can help people in their lives, the earlier you can identify people's needs and what support they want, the less the problems are down the track. So it really does sort of offer some exciting opportunities, but also takes us, as I say, into new areas. So once again, Mr. Mayor, Chorley Council maintains its ambition. We maintain a clear focus on what's needed in our community and a desire to help and support people wherever we can. Like everything, the new programme won't be easy. Delivering on all those projects won't be straightforward. There'll be the ups and downs. But we believe that we can do that. We believe this corporate plan will actually put the council in a position that will make sure that we are at the forefront of dealing with people's challenges and issues, making sure our residents have the support and help they need, and most of all, deliver on what residents tell us when we speak to them on a regular basis. So with clarity and purpose, Mr. Mayor, we will deliver this plan. We will deliver those changes and those improvements. And with hopefully that clarity and purpose, all members here tonight will be happy to support the corporate strategy for the forthcoming year. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Bradley, please can you second?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and I'm delighted to second what we've seen is a really great presentation by Peter, supported by Caroline and the team who helped put this document together that says what Chorley's about. And members will see it's very familiar to last year. It's building on what we did last year. There are new projects, but the key themes are the same. We've had a lot of change this year, Mr. Mayor. We had a general election and a change of government, a wholesale change of government just this summer. And obviously, we've seen from the last few weeks, it's sunny uplands, it's all good news, everything's rosy in the garden. Sorry, Mr. Mayor, it's not. What we've got, Mr. Mayor, is even more austerity to build on what we had before, because things need building from firm foundations, things need doing properly, and that's quite evident, Mr. Mayor. So, should Chorley be disappearing off into some kind of different path? We believe not. We believe we need to build on what we've already doing, what we've already got, let the government set that agenda, let that agenda bed in, and, Mr. Mayor, obviously hope to see improvements in due course. But it's continuity, and it's about being positive, because throughout the last 12 years, Chorley has generally outperformed certainly the rest of Lancashire, if not the rest of the northwest of England, because we've been doing some great stuff, and we want to carry on doing that great stuff. And how do we know that, Mr. Mayor? We know it because today, myself and the Chief Executive for Lancashire Leaders meetings, we discussed the very things that are in our corporate plan. We discussed housing and getting our local plan in place, which there's been briefings before this meeting about getting that local plan in place. We also discussed the tidal wave, I think it was described of in some towns in Lancashire, of homeless people. We don't have that in Chorley, but what we have is a greater pressure, so we're doing something about it. We discussed public health with all 3 public health directors from across Lancashire, who explained exactly what Councillor Wilson just said, that the sooner we start dealing with those public health issues, those issues about lifestyle choices, whether it's alcohol or drugs or obesity, whatever it might be, the sooner we deal with that stuff, the better we will all be for it. We discussed economic development, which again, Chorley shines at. And I saw a report recently from the Northern Powerhouse that said Chorley and South Lancashire is outperforming the rest of Lancashire, is outperforming a lot of the northwest. And as Councillor Wilson said, the green thread that runs through all that is our approach to climate change and our approach to embracing that green economy. Councillor Wilson finds it challenging sometimes, but even he's bought into it, Mr. Mayor, that we need to have that as a central tenet, because we can't ignore the facts. We've got to deal with the evidence. This plan is based on the evidence. It's based, as Councillor Wilson said, on what people say they want to see, but it's also based on the evidence that this council collects that tells us what those priorities are. We are looking at changing times. We have a combined authority. Again, I'm representing Lancashire Leaders next week at the first meeting of that combined authority. There is all kinds of stuff around reorganisation, speculation, rumour and intrigue going on. So much so that most of the discussions today, which should have been about health, housing, etc., was about navel gazing as councils thought about how they're going to reorganise in the future. But that's being driven by the changes the government want to see. The governments want to see Lancashire change. They want to see us all move on together. And therefore, I don't doubt, like any government, we will face challenges from the government over the years to come. We will face, hopefully, longer term spending plans that aren't short notice and short lumps of money. But what Chorley has through this plan, Mr Mayor, I believe, and put forward by Councillor Wilson and supported by the budget in February, is a plan that will see Chorley through into the next year and several years that we can then build on. And it feels like every year we have to come back and reinvigorate this plan, but with any plan, that's what you've got to do, because you've got to keep moving forward, you've got to keep developing and keep that theme going. So happy to second that, Mr Mayor, and recommend it to the council. Thank you.
Can I invite members to make any comments? Councillor Clark.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. It's refreshing after all these years not to hear mention of the government in making such a mess of everything. I'll leave it till next year for your turn. No, genuinely, from our side, we're quite happy to support this ambitious plan. You know, the work's obviously got into it. I just hope the Chancellor is singing from the same hymn sheet come next year. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I mean, I rise to support the corporate motion. Fantastic introduction, you know, the proposal and seconded from Councillor Wilson and Bradley. They talked an awful lot about the green bits, stole my thunder about winning the extra couple of green flags, so I won't dwell on that. It's good to hear from the Conservative side, Mr Mayor, that they're supporting this corporate strategy, because one of the big things in it, and you'll notice it says we will, you know, and I'm going to talk about the green agenda part of it, as you'd expect from me, and it is we will. You know, people use the word greenwashing where we talk about things but we never actually do anything. At Chorley, we get on and we do things. We've done some fantastic things, as Councillor Wilson you've just heard from, but also there's bits in here and people are wondering, what the heck is it? You know, a carbon pathways programme. What does that mean to anyone? Well, this is the actual, what will be how we do it, which is scientifically how we do it, costed how we do it. It's not just putting a finger in the air and thinking, yeah, let's have a go at this. This is how we do it. We do things properly at Chorley. You know, this is a fantastic way of doing it. Develop a biodiversity strategy for the borough. Now, the easier thing there, people are thinking, oh, biodiversity, what the heck's he going on about? I'm going to switch off. It's actually making space for nature. It's a new way of working that will be all over the borough, working with our partners, fantastic opportunities. And really exciting is creating the infrastructure for the weekly food waste collections, because if you live in Chorley, you'll know what I've dealt with over the years with a landfill site. This stops a lot of that nastiness, you know, by actually collecting food waste, treating it through anaerobic digestion, ceasing landfilling. It's a fantastic way to go, brilliant for the environment, and I'm great with our corporate strategy. We're leading the way on this, so well done to Chorley Labour, and let's keep it up. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. There are many areas in the corporate strategy that I welcome, but as a councillor for Chorley North West Ward, it's fantastic to see the woodland side and the development of this in the corporate strategy for the forthcoming year. Through the council acquiring this site and evaluating different options available, this land will help shape the future of Chorley. Through acquiring the land and ensuring future use, there is so much that can be done on this site through job creation, bringing new business into our town, one of the most key objectives that I'm passionate about in Chorley, to education and to residential, all of which will have a positive impact on the residents and businesses in Chorley. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I'd just like to draw members' attention to the social prescribing, which in the report says we've had 143 referrals. And we talk a lot about social prescribing, but I just want to give you a couple of examples of what it actually means for people. So we had a lady that moved back to the area and came somewhat isolated, and through social prescribing, our officers took her to groups, got her into a network, and now she's active within the community. We had another young person that dropped out of college and became increasingly withdrawn. And over time, social prescribing worked with him, and he is now in employment. So I'm sure I read in this report or in another report that it says that Chorley Council goes beyond what normal districts do. And I think our social prescribing scheme actually proves that. Thank you.
Murray. Councillor France.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I'd just like to reinforce what Councillor Murray's just said about the social prescribing. It's been a great success and continues to do very well in integrating people back into society after different problems they may have encountered along the way. But I'd just like to thank this council for the health event that we held recently. Hopefully we can build upon this year upon year. But there were over 200 people came through the door of the All Seasons Leisure Centre at our recent health promotion event, which was focused on children and young families on the starting well priority of the Integrated Care Board. And the feedback was very positive on the day, and hopefully we'll have even more people next year. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Anybody else? Please can we move to the vote? Recommendations are at para 2. Those for? Against? Abstentions? Thank you very much. Moving on. Review of financial regulations. This item's for decision. Councillor Alan Platt, please can you present this item?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Firstly, 100 and odd pages. It's quite a document. I'm sure we've all read it end to end, and there won't be a quiz on it later on, don't worry. What I would like to do, given the volume there, I would like to thank the officers and the members of the committee who actually did sift through most of this. And I'm quite happy to propose this. Thank you very much.
Happy to second that, Mr Mayor, and yeah, totally agree with what Councillor Platt has said there. The Governance Committee works very well, very good at scrutinising documents, and they can be weighty at times and go on a little bit, but we all enjoy it at the Governance Committee. So, and thank you to all the officers that support the committee. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Can I invite members to make any comments? Please can we move to the vote? Recommendations are at para 2. Those for? Against? Abstentions? That's carried. Item 7, pages 149 to 166. This item's for decision. Results of consultation. Councillor Wilson, please, can you present the item?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. As usual, we've conducted our polling place review. It's obviously very important to make sure that we have polling stations located in the right areas. At the same time, we've got to work with people such as schools who facilitate those polling stations. So as you'll see from the report, Mr Mayor, the recommendation is that the polling stations remain as were this year, with the exception of just 2 changes. The first is the change from St James's Primary School through going to Tatton Community Centre, and then secondly from Coppell Parish School to Coppell Village Hall. So I don't think there's anything particularly controversial about either proposal, Mr Mayor. They are, as it said, for the stated reasons that it takes us away from using schools, which obviously the schools benefit from. The locations that have been found are very accessible and reasonably well located in those polling districts in which they serve, and therefore I'm happy to recommend those changes, Mr Mayor.
Please, can you second?
Yeah, happy to second that, Mr Mayor, and would point members towards paragraph 14 that shows the responses received about the polling stations from residents, which suggests that generally they're happy with those polling stations, but I would urge members over the next year or two, if they're not happy with polling stations, they want to change things, to raise those as part of this consultation process. I think it was noted that some people came quite late to it. If you get in early, we can make those changes, and it's all about engagement, as we saw last night, I think, on the television, with our esteemed MP on Granada Reports, winning, I think, the 4th year running the highest engagement of any MP with school children, and he was at St Mary's School in the town, running a pupil parliament, absolutely loving it, and doing a great deal to engage. So the more we can do to engage residents to vote as well, Mr Mayor, has to be encouraged. Thank you.
Can I invite members to make any comments? If not, please can we move to the vote? Recommendations are at para 2, 4, against, abstentions. Thank you, that's carried. Statement of Community Involvement 2024, pages 167 to 212. This item is for decision. Councillor Morwood, please can you present the item?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Members might remember that back in July, Council received a draft statement of community involvement for 2024, the SCI. And they approved a period of consultation which had to take place before we get to the final version. So the purpose of this report is to advise members of the comments received to the draft statement and to adopt the final version of the SCI 2024. These SCIs are reviewed every 5 years, and our last adoption was in 2019. The draft SCI was consulted on for a period of 8 weeks between the 19th of August and the 30th of September, and was sent out to everyone on the Council's consultation database. That was around 400 individuals and organisations, including statutory consultees, parishes, neighbourhood councils, etc. Page 209 gives you a list of those consultees. There were very few comments for changes. Most of the comments which you will find on agenda pages 174 to 182 basically said, thank you very much, we appreciate what you're doing, we've read it, we have no further comments to make. So there were no one was coming along with any major changes which had to be made to that statement. So you'll find that on paragraphs 13 to 14, most of the changes are basically made up of typos, grammar, updating various links and so forth, and 1 or 2 clarifications based on comments received. And it says those comments are on pages 174 to 182. So the adoption of the SCI will set the standards for community engagement from 2024 onwards, and ask members to adopt this final version as recommended in paragraph 2. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Morwood. Councillor Hilton, please can you second?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I'd just like to formally second that. There's not much more I can add to what Councillor Morwood said, so thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Hilton. Can I invite members to make any comments? If not, please come and move to the vote. Recommendations are at para 2. Those for? Against? Abstentions? Thank you, that motion's carried. Number 9, Open Spaces Sports Recreation Strategy Programme Update. Pages 213 to 314. This item's for decision. It looks like our deputy's getting a busier night than me. Councillor Morwood.
It's very strange up here doing these things. This seems to be the night for long reports. And so, yet again, I'm sure you've read the 101 pages, but I'll try and distill it down to as best I can so that we fully understand it. So the purpose of the report, you'll see in paragraphs 1 and 2, is to provide an update on the delivery of the scheme of the Open Space Sports Recreation Strategy Action Plan 2020 to 2036. The various, if you look at agenda pages 241 to 270, you've got an outline there of the many projects that have been completed or are in the progressing as we go, have been fully funded and are progressing as we speak, and those that are awaiting funding. Many projects all across the borough. I think there's no one left out on that at all. But just to sort of give you an idea of all those projects that are on those pages, I'll just give you an idea of the value of the money that we've put in, and through the 106 monies, the developers have contributed as well. The total value of those improvements that you see and the new provision projects delivered by the council in our parks and our sports and open spaces in Chorley since 2020 is just over £7 million, of which just over £4 million of that is the Westway scheme, a very big scheme, a very important scheme, and a very well-used facility. The value of the current programme of schemes, which is currently underway, is about £1.5 million, and the total value of the Section 106 monies proposed for allocation in this report are just over £1 million, which comprises of 889,000 and a bit more, which is ring-fenced for specific projects, and I'll come to that shortly, and 408,000, just over 408,000 sums which are not ring-fenced, but which have been referenced for specific approval, again, which I'll come to as I go through the recommendations. So of all the approved, if all the approved total value of investments in these parks and open spaces combining the current programme with the schemes proposed this evening, that will be a further £3 million, almost £3.75 million there. So I'll go through the 7 recommendations, the recommendations from paragraph 3 to 7, and I'll try and add some detail to those totals of monies that are being talked about. So paragraph 3 is to approve the programme of 11 open space improvement schemes utilising Ringfest Section 106 monies, which you'll find on Table 2, page 217, which is a total of £899,199. Just to give an idea of where that money's going, just over 400,000 of that is for Astley Park playing pitches. The pitches basically are currently unplayable for many long periods of the year, the football season, because it's got extremely poor drainage. So the budget will fund a comprehensive pitch, drainage and restoration scheme, provide a higher quality of grass playing surface, and so bring those pitches back into a more regular use. There's just over £111,000 for Orchard Gardens, which is a creation of high-quality garden and food-growing areas, and in partnership with Charnock Richard Parish Council, and that's for use by the local community. There's just over £225,000 for Plot Wood, East Green. That's for extensive woodland management, drainage, paths, bridge repair, and enhancement of the semi-natural woodland in that area, again, for community use. And there's just over £61,000 for Bookshaw Village to resurface the sand-based old AGP, remind me. Oh, yes, grass pit, to make it suitable for hockey. So recommendation 4 is to approve an allocation of just over £49,000 from Bookshaw's Section 106 money. It's for Westway Fitness Loop and establish a budget for the same value. Again, we're working with Sports England, UK Athletics, Chorley Athletics and the Triathlon Club and other partners to deliver the final piece of the Westway Sports Hub. I already told you it's around £4 and a bit million so far, to complement the artificial grass pitch and the grass football pitches compact athletics track and a play area that's already been delivered. Recommendation paragraph 5 to approve the allocation of just over 300,000, again from 106 monies, to Astley Park play area, to redesign and consolidate the play area in Astley Park, including removal of the old toddler play area, the metal equipment, and expanding the wooden castle play area to create an additional zone for all age groups. Recommendation 6 is to approve the allocation of just £59,000 to Buckshaw Village artificial grass pitch. And finally, on paragraph 7, which I'll just remind myself, is that all the details on these various projects will, the proposals and the procurement strategy will be presented at the Executive Cabinet, and any contract awards approval delegated to an EMD, Executive Member decision. That finally tries to distill, as I say, 101 pages. But just for a little light relief, we've thrown in a few photographs for you to look at. Many of us were familiar with our own particular ward, maybe, and things that are going on there, but although we approve all these various projects, not many of us actually see some of the other stuff that's going on around, I say, across the borough. So those photographs on page 301 to 314 give you an idea of what's going on right across the borough. So with that, I hope you'll approve those recommendations as laid out in paragraphs 3 to 7. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Morwood. Councillor Hilton, please can you second?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I'd like to formally second that. As Councillor Morwood has said, this council has invested over £7 million into our communities across the borough, and we will continue to invest to improve the lives of the residents of Chorley. Councillor Moore has already explained what we've done and what we intend to do, but moving forward, the process doesn't stop. There's almost £652,000 left for Buckshaw Village, and I know residents and local members have expressed interest in improving connectivity to Astley Park and Exton, looking at green projects such as cycleways and footpaths. Other strategy considerations that we need to think about moving forward. Cemeteries, we are unfortunately running out of space, so we're looking at options to review capacity and need for funding options. This will be outside the SIL and Section 106 process, as cemeteries can't be included in that. I know that the Harrison Road site in Adlington has been proposed for as part of the upcoming local plan as a potential site for cemetery space. We've also got UK SPF funding looking at the feasibility and design to work to provide additional allotments and also biodiversity net gain on the same site as well. Biodiversity net gain will form part of the planning process moving forward for major developments. Reports obviously will be provided to members closer to the time as we move forward. And finally, paragraph 63 of the report identifies a number of schemes that have also been identified for consideration moving forward. There's no money being allocated yet, but officers will be working at that as we move forward into the process. Some of these can be looked at in conjunction with the playing pitch strategy, which members are also invited to contribute to. And also, if members have any ideas for future projects, they can, of course, discuss them with officers moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Hilton. Can I invite members now to make any comments? Okay, can we please move to the vote? Recommendations, and I think Councillor Morse has gone through paras 3 to 7. All those for? Against? Abstentions? That's carried, thank you. Item 10, Household Support Fund Phases 6 and Delivery, pages 315 to 326. This item again is for decision. Councillor Murray, can you please present this item?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. So this report provides details of the Household Support Fund. It seeks approval from the Council to receive the grant allocated to Chorley and then start the delivery. As this is phase 6, members will be aware of the aims of the fund, which is to provide support to vulnerable households with the cost of essentials over the winter period. The main areas of guidance issued by the government are extremely similar to ones previously, and previous rounds, and are listed on page 317 of the report. As before, the communities team have been working in partnership with community groups to develop the delivery plan, which responds to current issues and also encourages those that are experiencing difficulties to access wider support. When gathering data, partners have been asked to record wider information to help gather insights on what is really happening and the difficulties that people are facing, in the hope that we can help with any emerging issues that might be coming to the fore. Most agreements with the partners are in place, as this is phase 6, and it's very similar to the other phases. But a small contingency fund will be held back until midway through delivery and then allocated to the area with the greatest demand. Thank you.
Councillor Sina Khan, would you like to second?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I'd be happy to second that.
Can I invite members to make any comments? Councillor Snape.
Thank you. I just wanted to commend the report, and in particular reference to the delivery plan in regard to the continued support for Adlington Food Club. For anybody that doesn't know, Mr Mayor, Adlington Food Club has recently gone independent from Chorley Buddies and would not be able to continue to support the residents of Adlington, Anderton and Heath Charnock in the way that it does. And I think while sometimes people look at Adlington and think it's, you know, a well-off affluent area, there are a number of, you know, there is a lot of deprivation, a lot of people struggling, and a lot of people that value the funding right across those 3 villages. So just wanted to thank him for that. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Snape. Councillor Alan Platt.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I suppose really we should just be thankful that the new government has decided to continue with the funding which was offered by the previous one.
Councillor Howarth.
A distinct area in this report that needs to stand out. You have noticed that the affordable warmth growth grant is actually separated from the others. This is essentially because this is an area of capital expenditure. Capital expenditure, as opposed to revenue expenditure, is intended to be used, what it's spent on is intended to be used over a period exceeding 12 months. Such items as boiler servicing, maintenance in the home, possible double glazing, insulation, pipe work, etc. This area has been integrated with the Home Improvement Agency. This is the agency that handles the Disability Facilities Grant and the other areas of major improvements to disabled homes. The actual affordable warmth grant isn't specifically for disabled people, but it will be managed within that area. That's in partnership, very much the case with Lancashire County Council, who actually do recommend a lot of the areas and go through the applications. Now, when we consider the number of homes in Chorley, 52,000, we've got 22,000 pensioners, 33,000 isn't an awful lot of money. And I think we've got to admit from the start, we're probably going to run out of money in this area before too much longer. But what we will do, and it actually states in the council literature, we'll do as much as we can. Now, because we're in partnership with other areas, Lancashire County Council in particular, we will be able to refer to other schemes. In particular, say the Causey Home Scheme that's run by Blackpool Council, county-wide scheme. And where it comes to For example, we enter houses where it needs a new heating system. This money wouldn't go very far if we were actually putting in new heating systems, but the cosy homes area can do things like that. So we will be able to refer people that the officers find into other areas with much better funding than this for these major issues. Thank you.
If there's nobody else, please can we move to the vote. Recommendations are at paras 4 and 5. All those for? Against? Abstentions? That's carried. Thank you. Recommendations of Licensing and Public Safety Committee. Approval of revisions to payment licence policy. This is on agendas pages 327 to 352. This item is for decision. Councillor Lynch, please can you present this item?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This report seeks authority from Council to approve and adopt the revised pavement licence policy and associated licence fee structure. Members will note the recommendations in paragraphs 2 and 3. Firstly, can I thank the officers who have prepared this new policy, and also the fact that they have clarified those matters which may have provided confusion to businesses in the past. A pavement licence gives permission to a business to place removable furniture on the highway for food or drink to be consumed or sold from. As you will be aware, the policy was first approved in 2020 during COVID to provide extra support for those businesses that needed help in complying with social distancing measures. Subject to the changes made by the Levelling Up and Regeneration Act earlier this year, a revision became necessary. Members will note a summary of the changes are appended to the report. In addition to this, Mr. Mayor, a licence fee is being proposed, which will see a new application fee set at £350 and a renewal fee set at £100. This fee has been calculated at a cost recovery level and will be kept under review. The Licensing and Public Safety Committee authorised consultation on the draft policy, which ran between the 26th of July and the 13th of September this year. In total, 7 responses were received, and members will note those responses amended to the report. None of the responses, Mr. Mayor, raised significant concerns with the changes and were broadly supportive of the proposals. And on this basis of the consultation, the committee recommends that the Council approve the amendments. I'd therefore like to propose the recommendations outlined in the report. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Lynch. I've got your name right this time. Councillor Moore, would you like to second, please?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Happy to formally second that proposal. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Morwood. Can I invite members to make any comments? No comments. Please can we move to the vote? The recommendations are paras 2 and 3. All those for? Against? Abstentions? That's carried. Thank you. 12, committee appointments. This item's for decision. Councillor Alan Platt, please can you present this item?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is more of a cosmetic change than anything else, because my second Thursdays of every month are tied up in Eccleston. So we would just like to basically substitute myself for Councillor Sutton.
Councillor Deborah Platt, please can you second?
Second this report. Thank you.
Thank you. Can I invite members to make any comments? Councillor Bradley.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think behalf of Councillor Whittaker, he would like to see Councillor Platt in Eccleston more often, so we'll object to this if that's all right. Is that not right, Councillor Whittaker? No. Fine with... Point of order, Mr. Can you actually appoint somebody who's not here? Does Councillor Southern know he's being appointed?
It's how he's ruling things, Councillor Bradley. Please come and move to the vote. The recommendation is to appoint Councillor Craig Southern to the General Purpose Committee in place of Councillor Alan Platt. All those for? Against? Abstentions? That's carried. Thank you. Any urgent business previously agreed with the Mayor? I have accepted an urgent item of business to make a decision of the Governors Committee operative relating to the terms of reference for the committee. Governors Committee terms of reference are pages 355 to 362. This item is for decision. Councillor Alan Platt, please can you present this item?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Slightly shorter than the last one. Basically, the terms of reference are being revised in line with the SITFA guidance. So I've always taken it that they know a hell of a lot more than I ever will. So I'm happy to recommend it, and also take the opportunity to thank the officers and again the members of the committee for working through it. Thank you.
Councillor Clifford.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Happy to second that.
Thank you very much. Can I invite members to make any comments? If not, recommendations are at para 2. We'll move to the vote. All those for? Against? Abstentions? That's carried, thank you. Now, just before I declare the meeting closed, I would just like to thank Louise Mattison on behalf of myself and all the council for the hard work she's done. And like Councillor Wilson, I'd like to wish her a very happy retirement. Thank you, Louise. I now declare the meeting closed. Thank you for your attendance.